Hello and welcome to Science and Sorcery's Moment of Awesome. My name is Sam, my pronouns are he, him, and I'm delighted to be back talking to another member of the TTRPG community about who they are, what they do, and why they're awesome. And I love when you get a background dog. Every time we get that. Absolutely love a background dog. So first of all, Kelly, who are you,
Yes.
what do you do, and who's the dog?
Well, most importantly, my dog's name is Evie. She's a West Highland Terrier. She's also a terror, and I love her. Second, most importantly, my name is Kelly. I am a TTRPG performer and content creator, generally speaking. That's how I started. And I am also a fairly new-ish voice actor.
Very exciting. I'm going to come back to the
Yes.
dog, West Highland Terrier, because
Yes.
Scottish person here and a Scottish breed, which is exciting.
Maybe she knows I'm talking to you.
Maybe
Maybe that's where the distress is coming from.
pining for the homeland.
My
That's
kin.
what it is.
My kin.
So content creator, like TTRPG performer, and recently voice actor.
Yes.
What's the voice acting about? We'll talk about some of the other stuff in a minute. But...
Oh, sure. Well, I've had my first ever role in a project ever with Error 313.
The very first thing. Amazing.
Yeah, that's my first. I'm so sorry.
Oh no,
I'll have a talk with her later. Yeah, Error 313 is my first ever scripted voice acting in my life, and it was very exciting and emotional to be part of such an exceedingly cool project. I've had nothing but joy working on it with my friends. It's been amazing.
We're going to talk about that a little bit more actually in a little bit. But first of all,
yes.
I'm going to come back to the fact that you were part of an award-nominated and now winning actual podcast, The Heart is a Dungeon.
Yes.
What's that experience been like?
Just absolutely gorgeous. That show is my heart. Well, first of all, I have to give every ounce of praise to Ra. Just, they're gonna hear this. You're a genius, and they just are. The way they tell stories and the way they guide stories and the level of heart they put into everything they do for The Heart is a Dungeon is so admirable and beautiful. And I don't even... I can do nothing but celebrate them. I do it every time. Every time we get an edited episode from them and we see what they've done with the game. Every time I say, Ra, this is gorgeous. This music, this editing, the sounds used here, it's just phenomenal. And they put so much work and love into it, and they just hit it out of the park every time. So it's just, I was just talking to Ra about this. We found out they'd won for sound design for NJ Webfest. And I told him, I was like, I can't focus on anything I need to do today because I'm too excited for you. I had so much work and things I had to take care of. And I'm just vibrating around my house because, you know, Ra-Ra's being recognized and they deserve every good thing heading their way. The show, the people involved, Farrell, and then our table personally, Zoe and Mika and Farrell and me and just everybody. It's just been the most, probably one of the most, if not the most, probably the most wonderful experience I've had in this space. It's just been an absolute honor to be a part of it.
Am I right in saying, I think Ra mentioned this when we chatted, that when you came into this cast that you and Ra had never played together?
Never.
Right.
Never. And it's so funny because at that point, I have a fair amount of anxiety, and usually, at least then, I did not join tables if I didn't know at least one person at the table, just like as a security blanket, like having the familiarity with somebody. And for some reason, I said yes, I'm so happy I did. And it's the first time I'd ever done that. Just said yes to a table where I knew no one. And my gosh, I can't imagine being here without them now. It's wild and perfect.
It really does seem to me like lightning in a bottle. And like, yes, Rara is amazing. We can keep talking about that forever.
We can. I can talk.
We can. But also the table that you've got together and the dynamic, the chemistry between you all is like really is extremely natural in the way that it comes across.
I'll try not to get weepy about it. They all know I'm a major weeper. But I can't believe that I haven't known them for longer. I tell them I'm clingy. I just think they're all such beautiful people. And the chemistry was there right off the bat. We all just fully leaned into having fun with each other and trusting each other. And it's not often where that trust is fairly instantaneous. Sometimes it needs to be built. But for some reason, I guess it was just, the lightning in the bottle. It was kind of just there. I trusted that we were going to take care of each other at the table and that we were going to have an incredible amount of fun and tell a beautiful story together. And sometimes a chaotic story, but chaos is also beautiful.
And in terms of that chaos that has come from the story, but also the kind of beauty that's come from it as well, I wanted to think about kind of character inspiration, because like listening to that episode where Egan realizes that they're alive, or like a flame opens its eyes for the first time, like that's a really quite intense thing to like role play.
Yeah.
Like, how did that feel in that moment?
So in the moment, it felt scary. I knew because I wrote the backstory, and I had a feeling that Ra was going to throw that question at me. And even though I felt in my gut it was going to happen, they hit me with it, and I still wasn't entirely ready, because it's one thing conceptualizing it, and then it's another thing to actually put it into action. But once I knew they weren't going to ask me that question unless they believed I could do it. So I leaned in, and it ended up probably being one of the things I'm proudest of having done at a table, because it was tough. I'm not saying it was easy by any means, because I wanted to put sincere thought into it and make sure I was doing right by the character. And I got to the end of the description and took a deep breath, and I'm really grateful that Ra did throw the question at me, just because it, playing with people who elevate you and know you can do it and believe you can do it, and then ask the questions so you do it. They just make you so much more capable. I'm constantly around people who are making me better, and because he asked that of me, I feel like so much more capable a player today versus before. And it's not just Ra, it's everybody at the table throwing things at me in intense moments, and just knowing that if we throw the ball, somebody's going to rise to the occasion and try to catch it. And so that moment for me, that scene, I think it helped me realize that maybe I was capable of more than I'd been giving myself credit for. So I actually have, I don't have all the confidence in the world yet, but I do have far more belief in myself now that I can handle those more surreal, demanding moments. It's one of my favorites. I was very happy with it.
And I kind of wanted to pick up on, like you mentioned about backstory, like
Sure.
where does the inspiration for Egan, but other characters as well, come from for you? Is there a specific way that you find that, or is it not defined, or?
It's, you know, I call it my, I have ongoing TTRPG brain, and what that means is where, and sometimes I can't turn it off. Sometimes I wish I could turn it off and not necessarily turn everything into a concept. But it is nice to be able to just look around and find something, anything. I get inspiration from poetry, from music, from a public sculpture in a city, from how the light is hitting the water in a certain way. And I'm not even kidding. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. I think if your eyes are open, that you can find inspiration pretty much anywhere. You can find it in people. You can find it in your loved ones, in the wisdom they give you. There is so much art and storytelling and creativity to be taken from the world around us if you're looking for it. And that's not just, I tend to always be looking for it. And that's why I have a list literally a mile long of characters and stories I would like to bring to life, and that's okay. You know, it's very good list. And maybe I won't get to all of them, but generally speaking, inspiration can come from anywhere for me.
I love I'm the same in the sense of having so many character concepts that I know I'll never touch, and I quite enjoy the idea that I'll never know you, but you'll sit there in my brain, and maybe you'd be good, but we'll never know. And I quite like that, because in that moment, they're a good idea to me.
Yeah.
And that's enough.
There's something really beautiful about potential. Even if it never gets to reach the finish line, there's still something just inherently lovely about having the type of brain that makes up something this lovely or this scary or this heartfelt. I feel the same way is what I'm getting at. Even if I don't get to play half the characters that I ever come up with, man, they're pretty darn good, aren't they?
The Heart is a Dungeon is quite an emotionally driven game. It's described as this like podcast, a sad sack podcast for heroes and poets. How do you find keeping yourself emotionally safe playing games that have more emotional, heartfelt beats?
It's a very good question. And the way I can answer that is to tell you that I wasn't always that way. I didn't always keep myself safe, and sometimes there's a learning curve. I'm a very, I found a good home with The Heart is a Dungeon. I'm a very emotionally soft person. I have lots of feelings all the time, and I really feel them hard. But when I first started doing, online games with people, for the sake of storytelling, sometimes I would lean too far in, and I would know that I'd leaned too far in when I already have trouble sleeping, but like I'd walk away from a table and just be, struggling with a bit of that character bleed, like very much too woven into it. But with that experience, I learned. And it's all about knowing that the character isn't telling your story, you're telling the character's story. And seeing that division and where those lines are, I am not only driven to keep myself safe by being mindful of how far I'm leaning in and giving into an emotion. It's not just about keeping me safe. It's about keeping my friends safe as well, because the energy I bring to the table is going to impact not just me, but them too. And I care so much about my friends. I've made so many beautiful friends in this space, and even people I play with that I haven't befriended yet, they might be my friends. And I think one of the most important things we can bring to the table is care and awareness of community and how we take care of each other. And part of taking care of each other is knowing that I should keep my lines in place. I should know how far I can go, keeping myself safe so I can walk away from a table and say, the game is done for the night. It was beautiful and perfect, and I loved it. And I should also know that my friends are walking away from the table being like, wow, we all kept each other safe. And it's a commitment to care keeps me in check and keeps me safe too.
I guess as well with the community that is around this particular podcast as well, which is, I mean, whether it is the number of amazing performers that get brought into play or the people that listen, I mean, there's a sense of keeping them safe as well, like the audience.
Absolutely.
Part of it, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Could talk about this the whole time, but there's other things
I know.
We mentioned it earlier on, Error 313.
Yes.
Tell me more about that.
Oh, goodness gracious. It's an audio drama. Gosh, it's such a hard audio drama not to spoil. It's it's like if you're watching this right now, just go stop watching. No, I'm just kidding. Keep watching. But I can only tell you the premise in as far as the first episode goes without spoiling so much of the story. But essentially, Error 313 is genre-wise sci-fi, mystery, thriller leaning, but not quite. There are elements of it that could lend itself to that genre. But it is the story of a mysterious experiment. And it begins telling the story of one who is a participant in the experiment and an AI, X, who has parameters of the experiment and knows how the experiment is supposed to be run. One does not know why they're there, what the point of the experiment is. All she knows is that she's got to beat it. She's got to get through it. She's got to find out the point. What is all of this here for? And it goes to some very interesting places. But it's so much fun for people who are caught up to see theories try to come together about what people think is actually going on. Because I'm sorry, I gotta bring up Rara again. Because Rara's initial theory was that they will correct me on this if I get their theory wrong. But their theory was that it was the kids kidnapped from Neverland, but in space. Like that was their idea of what the premise of Error 313 is. And also has referred to it multiple times as Space Jail. So if you're into Space Jail, Error 313 may be for you. So you might want to give it a listen.
I'm just going to clip that line. Like,
sure, please do. Please, if you're into Space Jail.
And you mentioned this was like your first kind of like dive into voice acting for this show as well, which
I should say so. There is a lot of voice acting, depending on what kind of player you are, that is inherently involved in the TTRPG performance space. But this was the first time I had ever done scripted voice acting. And my goodness, it had been years since I'd done anything scripted, and I was nervous. I was nervous about getting back to it. I was like, can I still try to bring something to life that wasn't originating from me? Can you, because there's a difference, right? There's a difference between improvisation and plucking something from your mind and breathing life into it versus this is an idea from somebody else's mind and I need to bring it into life. I have to bring it to life in the way they're envisioning it. And it was such a, it was so much fun. The chemistry between our cast, it was just, we all had so much fun and we all showed up ready to work. And since becoming a part of the TTRPG space, I'd been able to, I'm still anxious, but I've been able to shed a good amount of anxiety that I previously had from like theater work I'd done in my past. And so showing up for the recording booth for Error 313 and, you know, getting critiques in the middle of a run through. And I was able to process that in a way that didn't like, you know, hurt my heart. Because I used to take critique so tough. I always took it to heart and I would just beat myself up about it. But I've gotten a lot more courage since performing and playing with so many of my friends that now I can get critique and be like, yes, I can absolutely make that happen one more time, like from the top type of deal. And it was it's such a fulfilling experience for me, and we love the show so much. We love it.
Okay, we're rapidly running out of time.
Oh gosh.
Picking on those ideas then of like
Yes.
learning and experiencing how to process that critique and then turn it into something new, and
Yeah.
also learning from the table with the Heart of the Dungeon and where that's kind of progressed things for you. What advice would you give to someone who was hoping to get into actual play or voice acting, or scripted voice acting
Yes.
in any of its forms?
Okay. So I guess this bit of advice applies a little bit more to actual play, but you will stretch your voice acting chops if that is something you're interested in down the line. Like I think it's a great way to play. You know, voice acting is play too. I would highly, highly recommend for anybody getting into the AP space. And this is going to be the sappiest answer. Go in being open to the idea of being friends with the people at your table. I can't stress this enough. I have been, you know, and this is not knocking other tables. I've been to tables where I've been aware that, this is a one shot. I am a guest. We may never see each other again. That's sad. And it's, you go and you give it your best shot and you had fun, but how fulfilled do you feel after the experience? But if you go in to a game with people you don't know and you commit to knowing them as people and not just as the players at your table, but recognizing the community that there could be, you are going to have a much more full experience in this space. It's not just about performance or playing or entertainment. It is about connecting with people. And I can tell you, a side effect of truly connecting with people and showing that care, a side effect of that is your story's going to be better too. And you're going to be better too because they're your friends and you're going to want to do better for them. So I cannot stress that enough. Being open to new friendships, new people. I have friends in this space that I've had for years now. And we live across the country, across the globe from each other. And these are people that I care so deeply about. And that's part of what makes this space so beautiful, is the care. So make some friends. That is at the top for me.
That was just a really beautiful sentiment. Thank you.
Of course.
We are getting to the end, so I'm going to ask, what's next for you?
Oh gosh. Well, I have Air 313 is still ongoing, and don't tell my producer. I'm quietly hoping. I'm hoping for a season 2. I will show this to her. I will show this to her. And we have The Corner of Pleasure in West River coming up. It for the Heart is a Dungeon. I am one of the people who knows absolutely nothing about it, so I can't wait to listen to it because I am in it and I know nothing. So I'm so excited for that game to come around. We also have an Apocalypse World game coming up, and I'm, just like I said, I'm open to, I'm just keeping myself open to new people and new friends and strengthening the friendships that I already have, and hopefully looking into more voice acting work, because I definitely have the bug now. now that I have that under my belt and a little bit of confidence, I'm so excited to pursue that more. So just more telling more beautiful stories with my friends. That is the goal, and that's the future for me.
And like one of those stories, you might be doing some voice acting for a story I'm putting together, which is really exciting. I haven't told anyone that yet, but yeah, that's something that's coming.
I'm excited.
Where can people find out more about you, Kelly?
Oh gosh, I'm everywhere as the Kellhop. If you look me up on Twitter or Threads or TikTok or Instagram, I have a link tree as well. That's where you'll find me. I talk a lot. You'll find me.
Thank you so much for coming and have the chat. Like, I deliberately make these just like the 25 minutes to make it palatable for lunchtime, but like sometimes you're like, does it have to end? But sadly, no, it does. Thank you so much, folks, for watching. Thank you, Kelly. Please do go and if you're watching it, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscription button. Help us get to the bigger numbers. And yeah, check out the links towards the Heart of the Dungeon and Error 313 that will be alongside it. But otherwise, folks, thank you so much. Take care, and we'll see you all again very soon. Goodbye.
Bye.